Welcome back. This is part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Katie Minahan, Project Lead the Way's Chief Impact Officer, and Joel Cooperstein, Project Lead the Way's Chief Product Officer. Career connections is something that we're talking about a lot, and it embodies a lot of what we've done for a long time, but it also is this set of enhancements that we're bringing to the student experience. And a lot of this we've learned because of the impact team, in that feedback loop of student surveys, educator surveys, the policy team looking at what's happening all across the country, and how do we take everything that we've learned and give it back to Joel, your team, to help continue to make that experience for students better. What are some of the things that you're doing as part of this Career Advantage framework?
Right, so the Career Advantage framework is kind of an umbrella for a number of different initiatives that we have going. One of them we've talked about already. This is the idea of these career connections, which show up as video vignettes that kids can watch where they feature professionals from industry who are talking about their work, and you're seeing them in action, and then they can discuss with one another what's going on there. Others of them are digital interactives. Others are kind of text-based reading opportunities for them to learn about what these professionals are doing out in the real world. So that's one aspect of Career Advantage. Another is an initiative around skills. We started to talk about skills earlier. So we're talking about critical thinking and ethical reasoning and collaboration and things like that, and making sure that those are modeled and practiced and evaluated as what you might call crosscuts or through threads in every aspect of the program. We're also leaning into creativity and collaboration as part of the sets of skills that are really transferable across everything that we do. This is what we've been doing since we were founded decades ago. It's really been our goal to get kids curious about careers from a very young age, and then get them ready to move into the workforce later on in their life. So we're building this into our programs, and we actually really always have, but we're building it in increasingly explicitly so that you can see ideas like career connections. What do professionals look like and do when they work in industry and some of these related fields, to the skills that kids are going to need around creativity and ethical reasoning, collaboration, as they work together to solve these increasingly complex problems, moving them forwards towards industry recognized credentials, where through the coursework that we offer, kids are ready to sit for exams that will give them the signal and the currency that they have knowledge and skills and abilities that are really meaningful to employers out in the workforce. So inside the programs, you're going to see all of those things really, really explicitly and clearly, and we help teachers know how to draw attention to them, help teachers know how to draw kids' attention to them, help them know how to think about their own skills and abilities in that way. And once we pass that through the curriculum itself, it shows up in the community as well.
Yeah. So I love that. It's a way of tying it all together, work we've done for a long time, but also making it more explicit, building in more teacher supports. The career connections are one of the most interesting and important things that the team has built. And there's over 100 of them in the curriculum. But I love it when I'm out visiting a school and there's a student looking at the curriculum. They've finished an activity, and then highlighted in the curriculum is an industry professional, somebody doing a job that ties back to the actual skills that that student was developing in that classroom experience. So those connections really aid the career awareness, career exploration part of what we do. So Joel, you're talking about skills, right? And there are a lot of different terms being used to describe that, right? So we've used transportable, I hear transferable. Toyota, a partner that we've worked with for a long time, has used the term professional skills. I think about Tim Taylor and the group at America Succeeds. They've used the term durable skills. And so there are a variety of terms being used, but the fact is it's not just about core academic knowledge or technical knowledge. Skills is the currency for students today. So that's an important part of what you're building into the curriculum, but also the way that you're supporting teachers. How are you all doing that?
So this has to do with being fairly explicit about what those skills are, what they look like, helping instructors, teachers know how to model those skills, helping them know how to get kids to practice them in real time in the work that they're doing in their activities, projects, and problems, and then even getting towards evaluation and assessment so we can get kids thinking about how they're using those skills. And one really fun story I heard about how this shows up was told me by one of our instructional developers who knew a person who went out of our high school biomedical program, went into college, and found that everybody wanted to be their lab partner. And this was the kind of person that became sort of a magnet because the other students in the lab could see this was a person who knew the equipment, who knew how to think about things, who knew how to solve problems, and who knew how to collaborate effectively. And when I hear stories like that, I can see all of that skills work kind of converging because it has to be embedded in what you do. It can't be separate. It can't be additional, but it does need to be named. You have to get kids thinking about what these skills are and what they look like and what they feel like and how they're progressing in their growth there.
Well, to a degree, it's been implicit in what we've done for a long time. Mm-hmm. And now I love what you're saying. We're going to call it out, bring it forward, and then help support teachers, right? So the Project Lead the Way experience that's being delivered for 2.5 million students today is facilitated by a trained educator. So how do we help support that educator to talk about collaboration and call it out too? Like working together as part of a team is not easy. Like I think about my own students' experiences and even this last year at college, talking about the challenges of group work. And we have a lot of students who thrive in that setting, but we also have students who would prefer to work alone. And it's a skill that you have to practice and build, and it can be done. We see it happening in our classrooms all across the country. Another one you talked about, like ethical reasoning. And I think in a technology-defined, AI-enabled world, we have to think about the ethical implications more than ever. So it's not just what can we do, which often seems to be the focus of some of the technological developments, but what should we do and what's the ethical thing to do in some cases. I think about the example one of our team members shared with me a couple of years ago about bridge building, right? So you think about, we think about bridge building. Think about a bridge where all of a sudden you have a budget reduction, 10%, 15%, whatever. How do you manage that? What do you do differently? Is it the aesthetics of the bridge? Do you use less concrete, lower grade steel? I mean, there are implications for that and safety and real repercussions if that's not done to a certain standard. And that happens across self-driving vehicles. You name the technological advancement, there are ethical implications in many cases. So your team's doing that. How is your team thinking about the connection with these skills to the program and the product and the student experience?
Yeah, I think what you all both mentioned that to me I think is critical, so I want to reiterate this, is the importance of those skills being woven through from pre-K through to high school. Because your example about collaboration is a very visible one where you think about kids need time and practice to learn these skills. You don't immediately know how to communicate, you don't immediately know how to collaborate, and so providing opportunities throughout their time in Project Lead the Way allows them to really develop those skills. And what we know is those are the skills that partners really care about. Like when we Lockheed Martin's one of our partners, they have a Project Lead the Way internship for students who took Project Lead the Way, and they're aware that students have technical skills. They learn, they use tools that are used in industry, but that their technical skills are not going to be as advanced as somebody who's done an engineering program or who's been an engineer before. But they look for these transportable skills as they're thinking about students coming in, because can students communicate their ideas? Can they iterate on a design of a problem that they're solving for the organization? And so we see that the skills that they're learning in the classroom matter to our industry partners, and our students' ability to, one, know that they've learned those skills and that they have abilities in those areas, and their ability to communicate that. And that's what we heard from students is, because of my Project Lead the Way experience, I was able to communicate how I created a design and there were barriers, and I iterated on that, and I collaborated with teammates to do that. And that's really powerful, and that sets them up for success in the next step.
Well, we've covered a lot, but we've actually just scratched the surface. And I think about Career Advantage. Again, a lot of it is work that we've done for almost 3 decades. It's the heart and soul of Project Lead the Way and the experience that we bring to students and that we help teachers facilitate really in a powerful way all across the country. But there's so many other elements to it, whether it's work-based learning or some of the other connections that we want to make from the classroom to the community. So part you just mentioned is this connection to Katie's team and the impact team and partnerships and the work we do in the field. Can you talk a little bit more about the Career Advantage connections that are facilitated through the impact team?
Absolutely. So the industry recognized credentials are the first, are one piece of that. And so I think about that in 2 ways. One is the student currency, which is thinking about giving students a leg up when they go out into industry. So we're really mindful of the IRCs that we're connected to. So thinking about the ones that are most valuable, we talk to our industry partners about that, like which ones signal to them that students have really demonstrated a high degree of skill that would be valuable to them when they're interviewing. We know that's really important. It also helps students build confidence on the skills that they're able to showcase. We also know just when we think about the functioning of schools, IRCs matter for schools and districts. They count in accountability systems. They can have an impact on funding. They can be a graduation requirement for students. So we try to be thoughtful about how that interacts with both our industry partners for students, but also the realities of school districts and systems around the country. We also are really focused on college credit. For our students who are going to pursue a post-secondary degree, we know that not only do we want their experience in Project Lead the Way to have helped them develop skills and confidence that when they go to post-secondary, they're feeling really confident about their chosen path, but we also know that there's a price for post-secondary, and we want to help offset that for students. So we really are mindful about college credit. So we work with lots of institutions of higher ed across the country to provide students with college credit for their Project Lead the Way coursework, and that's increasing every day. We have a team that really works on that and making those connections. And I think the other part of Career Advantage that really focuses or really makes a connection with our partners is work-based learning. And we really think about that in a continuum for students. So we know that there are opportunities when students are in a Project Lead the Way classroom where they are solving problems that would matter for a business or industry. They're able to apply those skills. So I think about our capstone course and how students are able to do that. And in some states, like Massachusetts, for example, they count that course as work-based learning because they know what students are doing in that course is at the level of what they would be doing in an internship. We also know that we have schools that work with a local partner or partners to create either in-person or virtual internships for students, and we help schools with resources on how to do that, how they can outreach to industry in their local area and think about setting those up and helping them think about how it could look virtually, how it could look in person. And we also go to the other end of the continuum where we've helped industry partners like Lockheed Martin set up an internship program and really think about an on-site internship for students. And we try to ensure that there's lots of opportunities because we know depending on where a student is, if they're in, a rural part of the country versus an inner city, the opportunities that they have differ. And so we want to think about all the things that we can do for scalable options for students that they're prepared for whatever their step is after high school.
I love that. And that really is the essence of PLTW Career Advantage, that no matter where a student is going to school, and we work with all school types, right? Rural, urban, suburban, big school, small school, public, private, charter, you name it. If learning's happening, Project Lead the Way is there to help those students get ready for life, but also for career. That's a career advantage. It's the skills that Joel talked about. It's the industry recognized credentials. I love that the team has looked at all these state lists, of approved credentials and seeing which ones really match for the work that we're doing in our pathways. But even thinking about the new career clusters and how we align to them and think about the signal that comes first or is necessary for students, whether that's an IRC or if it's college credit. You talked about our industry partners. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about our work at Project Lead the Way. We kind of sit in the center of these really important relationships, right? It's the school relationship, it's the business and industry relationship, it's the relationship to higher ed, and all of that is powerful for what we do for students. You mentioned partners that are recruiting students directly out of a Project Lead the Way experience for internships, for employment. We've seen that happen. You've actually written up case studies on that. Partners do a lot of other things for us too. They sit on advisories, they help make sure that the content stays relevant. Joel's team is updating the content regularly. Talk about grants to schools. I mean, we're working in a time now where schools have faced various funding challenges, declining enrollment. And one of the things that we've tried to do is to connect some dots for them with partners who want to support a certain type of engaging, relevant learning for students. Can you talk about that just for a minute?
Yeah, our industry partners are really concerned with the future workforce. So for them, partnering with Project Lead the Way makes a lot of sense. We provide curriculum and experiences for students that set them up to be successful in the workforce. And so that speaks to a lot of our partners. And so one of the biggest ways that our partners support is through the school grant program. So what that means is our industry partners provide us with funding that goes 100% of it gets funneled right back to schools in the form of school grants so that they can either start a new Project Lead the Way program. It might be an expansion where they're adding either another program. So maybe they have engineering, they're adding biomed. They might be a school district that's adding middle school when they've had high school. So those grant dollars can be used for a wide variety of things to support their Project Lead the Way programming. And one thing that really speaks to me about this and how much it matters to schools is one of our partners, Chevron, supports a lot of schools in Mississippi, Louisiana, in the Gulf region. And in 2021, Hurricane Ida came through. And for one of our school districts, it had an impact on all of their school buildings, and a lot of their Project Lead the Way equipment was ruined. And so the school was able to use their Project Lead the Way grant from Chevron to purchase new equipment so that their students didn't miss a beat. They were able to continue on their coursework and go through. And so it's just so important how flexible those dollars are for schools to be able to buy equipment, train a teacher, do the things that they need to do, expand, add another course. And our partners love to see that because they love to see the reach. They love to see the number of students who are having experience and how that grows over time.
I was just looking earlier at the list of partners on our website, and it's an extensive list of partners. And I think about the generosity of those partners and their commitment to their communities. You mentioned a couple of them, but they're very engaged, and certainly it's workforce. They want students to have opportunities. They want them to be prepared for life after K-12 education, but they're also really investing in those communities and creating an experience for students that hopefully is life-changing in many cases. You gave one example, but there are a lot of examples of that all across the country. That, and then also like seeing business and industry leaders come in, and they call it employee engagement, but having a chance to talk with an engineer or a tech or somebody in the biomedical science field, that's been a really important part of it too.
Yeah, and I believe the thing that to me makes the biggest difference is thinking about it as a continuum. So it can seem a little daunting if you're an industry partner to start up an internship program for high school students, that can feel a little bit daunting. So we really think about, with partners, what are the different ways they can engage? It's not just providing funding to schools. It can be being mentors to students. It can be providing opportunities for students to come and do site visits. It's a lot of things. And then we see a lot of partners who, as they engage and see the impact and engage with our students, who then decide, okay, we do want to start up an internship program. We do want to provide other opportunities. And I think what we've really seen is that it isn't just that they want to write a check. They want to be involved with the schools in their local community. And when they get into schools and talk with our students and our teachers, they really see how powerful this is and the impact it's going to make long term.
I just had a chance to visit last month a school in Texas, in the Dallas area, DeSoto ISD, and I met a really amazing second grade student, Ziggy. Ziggy was serving as an ambassador. He's in the Project Lead the Way experience. He came out and shook my hand, firm handshake. I asked him what he wanted to do when he got older. He said he wanted to be a scientist, and he's talking about the experience he was having there. But I was visiting the school with Leslie Duke and others from Burns and McDonnell, which is another one of our big partners, and they're creating this really amazing experience for students in DeSoto, and that's happening really all across the country. So that's something that your team wakes up and works on every day, is building more of those relationships. You talked about higher eds, you talk about business and industry partners. I love that we have a team that every day is thinking about how do we create more of those kinds of experiences for kids.
Absolutely.
I want to shift gears just for a minute and talk about teacher training. It's one of the most important things that we do. We're working with over 100,000 educators all across the country, elementary, middle, and high school. And they have a range of licensure backgrounds. They have a range of experiences. We have a number of Project Lead the Way teachers that we've supported that have come from industry and made that transition. But at the heart of that model we have is our master teacher model. So we have this cadre of around 400 master teachers. So Joel, talk a little bit about that relationship and why that's so important to what we do.
Yeah, our master teachers are classroom teachers themselves who take time out of their schedule to work with teachers who are getting ready to teach our courses and can give those training teachers firsthand experience of what it's like when the curtain goes up in a classroom. And anybody who's ever taught one day in their life knows if that curtain goes up and you're not ready, there can be trouble. So training can be really, really critical. having people in front of those teachers who need that training, who know what it's like, who have been there and have done this for a long time, is invaluable. And what's really great about that that setup to me is the community that it creates. So teachers will train together either in person or virtually, and they'll make connections with the teachers in their cohort that they maintain for years and years and years. They maintain connections with their master teacher for years and years and years. That master teacher can become a support person for them as they move forward over the course of the year and they have a question about how a piece of equipment works, or what's the best way to implement this thing or that thing, or my kids just came up with this amazing solution to one of our problem-based learning experiences. Have you ever seen something like that before? The network and the community among educators that starts with training but sticks around makes it really, really powerful. And I saw this right after I joined the organization a couple of years ago. We have people who are proud Project Lead the Way teachers, and I think that comes from being part of this community, which starts with training, which starts with them getting to a place where they feel like they're ready, they understand how these things work, they know the benefit, and they're a part of a group.
When you talked about the relevance in the classroom experience for students, the experience for teachers is equally as important and relevant, right? So that master teacher group, incredible credibility, right? They walk the talk, they've done the work, and they share that expertise with others as they're helping them get up to speed, maybe year 1, year 2, but that connection lasts for a long time. And I've had a chance, as have you, and I know you have too, Katie, to visit master teachers in their classroom on many occasions. And some of them we've presented awards to, some of them we're out learning and seeing, how they are innovating in their classroom and connecting in their classroom. And I often get a message from master teachers with suggestions on things that we can do to continue to improve the experience. I know your team, that's part of your feedback loop as well. And actually a number of master teachers work for us now at Project Lead the Way. So talk a little bit more, both of you, about that master teacher relationship and why it's such a difference maker for us.
So one thing I'll say about it is that master teachers recognize the distinction between implementing Project Lead the Way in elementary schools, in middle schools, and in high schools. Training that they offer is designed specifically for those use cases. For example, a high school teacher has a level of depth of expertise that may not be true for an elementary school teacher, and therefore the training needs to take on a completely different approach. And so master teachers are there to help us make sure that we're tuning the training for the audience really, really appropriately. Whether a high school teacher in a biomedical science classroom is going to go very narrow and very deep on something, or an elementary school teacher might be a little bit out of their comfort zone teaching something about a STEM topic that they're not quite as familiar with. Master teachers help us know how to make sure that those teachers are prepared, meeting them where they are and getting them ready to implement the curriculum as it was designed and intended.
Yeah, that's great.
And they're really thoughtful about that balance between technical skills and transportable skills or transferable skills. This idea that for a teacher who's never taught engineering or biomed, science is not their background, that can feel overwhelming. And so this idea that you have somebody there that's supporting you, that's helping you think about these different pieces of the curriculum, and they're your phone a friend. They're the person that you can call when you're in the classroom and you're not sure, you forgot this from training, you're feeling overwhelmed, and I think that's really powerful. I think another connection between our core training as we think about our industry partners, and one of the things that they've enabled us to do and that we feel is really important as we think about the realities of schools is our training guarantee. We know the realities of schools is that you might have a teacher retire, resign, move to another school, you've trained them on Project Lead the Way, that teacher has now left, and so we ensure that schools are able to train a new teacher at no cost, and I think that's really important for schools.
Yeah, I think what you just described is also a way that we've evolved, right?
Absolutely.
So Project Lead the Way has been around for nearly 3 decades, but we're not the same organization we were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So we're a learning organization. We talk about that a lot. And as we learn, we get better and continue to increase the ways and the methods that we support educators, schools, and certainly students. I want to thank both of you for sharing your insights and your deep expertise and your passion for what we do and your experience as both leaders here at Project Lead the Way, but also as lifelong educators. I want to thank our viewers for joining us today. We're going to be back with more episodes, more topics. I encourage you, send us your topic request. If there is a certain highlight that you'd like for us to cover in one of the upcoming episodes, send that to inspired@pltw.org. Make sure you follow the podcast so you get updates every time we release a new episode. Thank you again for joining us.